Hello everyone, welcome to the NoDQ review here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift, NoDQ. As you can see, no Virtue today. In case you guys missed it, Virtue was suspended by NoDQ.com. I basically sold out my friend for $100 on NoDQ Live last week. A guy said if he paid $100, would I ban Virtue for 2 months? And like an idiot, I said yes. And he called my bluff. Basically, that's what happened. Virtue is suspended indefinitely. Well, about 2 months. That's what we agreed on. So no more Virtue for a while. In protest, Big Vito is not here today. Big Vito has stepped away. Hopefully he will be back. Cooler heads will prevail. But anyways, we have a new moderator to replace Virtue for the next 2 months. His name, straight from Mexico, I believe he speaks perfect English though, El Virtuoso. How's it going, sir?
Mr. Rift, it is going fantastic. And by the way, who is Virtue and who is Big Vito? Yeah,
exactly.
You know, so I'm here to boost the ratings and liven the show up, but it's going great, and I have a list of topics. You know, I haven't watched wrestling for a while except the last week, so that's what we're going to talk about today.
What are you drinking, by the way?
Wasser.
Oh, okay. Very good. You're going to need plenty of it. This might be a long video, so go ahead. You take over for Virtue. You're going to do his hosting duties here. Go ahead and introduce our other person here.
Jaxie, good to meet you. How's it going?
Don't act like we're friends. El Virtuoso? How'd you come up with that? Did you get it from a luchador name generator? Did you get your mask a swap meet?
Masked superstar.
Yeah.
Hey,
Let me make one thing perfectly clear. The only reason I'm gonna tolerate your ass tonight is because in his absence, Big Vito asked me to stay professional and to play nice. So don't think for even one single solitary second that you're going to replace Virtue, because you are nothing more than temporary.
Ooh.
And as soon as this absolutely ludicrous, ridiculous suspension is lifted and my homie Virtue is back here where he belongs, you're going to be like a 3-strike in baseball and you're out. You will be nothing more than a fleeting memory.
Now,
let's keep that straight.
Well, hold on a minute. Give the guy a chance here, just like we give Peace a chance. Let's give El Virtuoso a chance. He might turn out to be better than Virtue. Who knows?
Well, I'm a Pete Dunne fan.
There you go. He knows. He knows his stuff already.
I mean, let's be honest. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate had the best match in all of wrestling in 2017. And for the people that say they didn't, they're ludicrous. So, you know, I don't have to win you over, Jaxie. That's cool. I respect it. But I'm going to do my best to fill in. And if it's temporary, I'm fine with that. So thank you, Mr. Rift, for giving me an opportunity. So, with that said, this is going to be probably a tough debate today. But I do want to recap Elimination Chamber. That's the first WWE event I've watched in years. And so I'm going to need both of your expertise on this. And I want to talk about the women in their very first Elimination Chamber match. Alexa Bliss, I guess she's, what do they have it now, Aaron? 2 championships, a Raw and a SmackDown for the women. Alexa's the Raw champion. So she went in defending this championship, and she successfully kept her title, and she's going to WrestleMania. And afterwards, she cut a promo, and she was supposed to be a villain. I was kind of surprised when she started tearing up and they showed little girls in the crowd making a feel-good moment, and then she turned back to her villainous ways. I thought that was pretty good, especially not watching wrestling all these years. Aaron, what were your thoughts on that women's Elimination Chamber match? You're probably more familiar than I am with that, and that whole Alexa Bliss promo.
Well, I thought it was pretty good. I did enjoy the Elimination Chamber match. I thought it went about as well as one could have asked for. I thought the promo was great. I actually thought that was the best thing about the whole segment. I thought Alexa Bliss was phenomenal, to use a line from AJ Styles. I was convinced that she was turning face, so she got me. She got a lot of us. I thought it was really well done, and I enjoyed the segment. I enjoyed the match. and I was happy overall with the results. I think Alexa was the right person to win. She should be booked strongly heading into WrestleMania, and I still think she needs a strong opponent, and I'm not quite sure who her opponent is going to be at this point. There's still a lot of debate about that. Is it going to be Asuka, or is Asuka going to go over to SmackDown? So, Jexy, let's get your thoughts on it, on the match, the promo, and who do you think Asuka should be facing? Do you think it should be Charlotte, or do you think it should be Alexa Bliss?
Sure. The match itself was fantastic. It was very well done. I really enjoyed when Alexa shut the door back. I thought that was pretty cool. Her promo was beautiful. You know, you really did believe for a second that maybe she was going to switch over. She played it off very well and kind of played everybody like a fiddle and switched it right back. As far as who she should face, I would kind of actually like to see it be a three-way between her and, Asuka, Alexa, and Charlotte. Because I think we're getting to the point where they are going to finally put the belt on Asuka. And if she were to beat either one of them, she could pick up either title and then switch over if she had to. But I really wouldn't mind seeing either her or Charlotte.
Jexy, let me ask you a question. What do you think about the idea of them possibly merging the women's championships and just having one champion represent both brands? And that way, the champion gets to be on both shows, and there's a little bit more incentive to be the champion because you get to be on both shows. What do you think about that idea?
I don't like it.
You don't
I
like
don't
it?
like it. I don't really think it's necessary. There's enough women that they have either from NXT that they can bring up, and there's enough women that haven't had the title yet. They're still developing Absolution. They're still developing the Riot Squad. You have plenty of people to choose from. They can move it around. You know, Bayley hasn't held the title in a while. Wouldn't mind seeing it get back on her at some point either, but I don't want to see them merge it.
Now, what about the idea of women's tag team titles? I know that's another idea that people have thrown around. So maybe if they did merge the women's title, they could open the door to have tag team titles. Do you think that's a possibility? Do you like that idea of tag team titles?
It is possible. I do. I really do like the idea of women's tag. I've been saying that for a while. That would be really cool to see that come to fruition. Becky and Charlotte would be amazing. And then, you know, maybe even Asuka and Kairi Sane at some point in the future would be fantastic as well. But to merge one to give them the other, I mean, are you going to have tags on both shows, or is it going to be a Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Tag Team Women's? Like, I mean, I don't know.
I think that would be too much. That's why I would say maybe merge the titles and then you could introduce women's tag team titles for both shows. But El Virtuoso, I see that you are itching to talk right now. Literally, you're itching because you're hot under that mask. So go ahead and give us your thoughts on all this with the women's division and Elimination Chamber.
I'm fine, Mr. Rift. I'm fine. But, you know, I know who Asuka is. I'm a big Kana fan. And I want her to face Alexa Bliss because I do know Raw is WWE's flagship show. That's the title she should go after. And I don't know what they're going to do with Charlotte. I guess Charlotte Flair. You know, but they'll give her a good opponent. So I want to see Asuka and Alexa Bliss. From what I've seen on Sunday and Monday, that to me would be the match for WrestleMania. And of course, Asuka winning the title and remaining undefeated. So it's that simple, really. That's what I would want to see. But everybody has their own opinion. Speaking of women, Ronda Rousey signed her contract at this event. Last time I knew she was in UFC, Aaron. So what are your thoughts on that whole contract segment? Because she looked very, very, very nervous. As nervous as I am doing this video because I just don't normally do these things. But she was very, very nervous initially. But it seemed like she weathered the storm. And once the physicality of that segment got in place and the slap from Stephanie, I enjoyed it. And she flipped her hair back and she showed that mean, because she was coming out with a smile from all the videos they showed from her from the Royal Rumble. I don't like Rousey smiling. I like that serious face. So what's your thoughts with that whole segment?
Well, yeah, that was just the introduction for her in WWE. I did like the segment. I think somebody made a good argument on Twitter that her just talking like a normal person was actually good and added a little bit of realism to the whole segment. So I was okay with it. It was a little rough, but I felt like once she got into her groove, like especially on Raw, I felt like she was really into her groove, and when she was talking seriously and getting into promo mode, I thought it was really good. So I did enjoy the segment, and it's looking like we're going to have Ronda and Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie. So, Jexy, what are your thoughts on that segment and the match right now with Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey as a team against Stephanie and Triple H? Do you think it's a big match for WrestleMania? Do you think it's the right choice, Kurt Angle being the partner for Rousey? Your thoughts?
I do think it will be the right choice. They're kind of picking up where they left off. Instead of having The Rock, they're going to plug in Kurt. And it seems like they've been building towards that for a while with tension between Kurt and Stephanie and Trips. As far as Ronda's promo on at the Elimination Chamber, I get where people like to see her be more natural. Personally, it was not for me. And the reason why I say that is she comes out at Royal Rumble. She doesn't say a word. And she already has this attitude of confidence and this aura of being a badass and just points at the WrestleMania sign. So she goes from being this confident, stand-up badass to now going into this humble, meek, nervous, like, I'm so thankful, which is great. You should be thankful. But they could have worded it differently and still gotten that point across that she is happy to be there, that she appreciates it. And then she comes back out on Raw in that serious, I'm going to beat your ass mode. And it just kind of conflicted with what she had done the night before. So I'm actually glad that when she came out on Raw, she had more of that attitude, stern seriousness about her. Do I think that it's going to be a huge match? I mean, not especially considering other matches that we have going on, other potential matches that could be. But it will definitely be a big factor in storylines as we start to progress towards WrestleMania.
Right.
I like that. I like that point, Jexy. I really do, because it did kind of. We know Rousey is a badass, so she came out at Royal Rumble like a badass, even though she was smiling a little bit too much, and then she was almost emotional in tears when she started cutting that promo. So I do like that. What are both of your thoughts on her being teamed with Kurt Angle? We know Angle's kind of been flubbing lines lately, from what I've seen on YouTube. But I am actually enjoying it now. It's like I see people on social media saying Kurt Angle's almost becoming like a walking meme, and it's like you want to see what he's going to flub next. Nothing against Kurt. It's maybe his unintentional way of entertaining us. So what's your thoughts of Rousey being with Angle? Because we've heard other rumors, like you said, Rock, Strowman. I mean, there's been all kinds of different possibilities. But do you think Angle and her can work this match and make it appealing against Stephanie and Triple H at WrestleMania? Aaron, we'll start with you.
Well, I definitely think that Kurt Angle should be in a big match at WrestleMania. Hopefully he has gotten proper amount of time to train and prepare for the match. And, that was a match that was originally rumored, Triple H versus Kurt Angle for WrestleMania. So it does make sense in that regards. And also there was a little bit of teasing at Survivor Series that Kurt Angle and Triple H would have some kind of match. Also there was a tease with Braun Strowman, but it looks like Strowman's going to be in a different direction. I guess we could talk about that in a few minutes here. I do like the pairing of Angle and Rousey. I think it's the best thing you can do next to The Rock being in that match, since that was the original team that was set up at WrestleMania 31. Also, Strowman could be argued in that position, but I like Kurt Angle being Rousey's partner. I'm totally cool with it, and hopefully Kurt Angle can get into the zone in his promos. Once his intensity is able to pick up, he can get those three eyes back, intensity, integrity, and intelligence, and really shine like the old Kurt Angle, and we can get that moment again instead of him being the GM. I think maybe just him being the GM maybe waters him down a little bit. Once he gets into his character again, being the wrestling machine, I think his promos will get better. Chexy, what do you think?
I agree. I think that it's the best matchup for them, considering Rock's probably not going to be around. I don't really have much more to add to it. I think you said it the best. They will be a good fit together. I have a feeling that since they both have similar backgrounds, that they'll be able to mesh well. I would be very surprised if it wasn't very Stephanie and Ronda heavy.
I think it'll be mostly Triple H and Kurt Angle doing the bulk of the work, and Stephanie will tag in, and then at the end Ronda will get the hot tag, and Ronda will do the arm thing, because the fans want to see that. On Raw, we saw the chants. What was it? Break her arm or something like that. Rip off her arm. Rip it off. There you go. And that I think is the spot they're going to build towards at WrestleMania. And Ronda's going to do that to Stephanie, put her in that armbar submission, and that'll be the end of the match. But yeah, I think the bulk of the work will be Kurt Angle and Triple H, and that's why Kurt really needs to be at the top of his game. Hopefully Triple H will as well, but I think the match will turn out to be pretty good when all is said and done. Anything you would like to add, Mr. El Virtuoso?
No, I think once that match starts at Mania and the entrance jitters are out, and they're in the ring and they start, specifically Triple H and Kurt, because, they don't wrestle all the time. They're a half a step behind, in the Lucha style. It's crazy, 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 crazy. And Jex, even in a regular match, when you work every night, this, that when you work a limited schedule and just one day a year like Triple H and Kurt, there are a couple, it can be a little the timing, the pacing. So if they get that right, if they don't try to go too crazy, and I think that Triple H and Kurt are a good combo to do that, they'll get that comfort zone a couple minutes into the match, and I think we'll be entertained. I really do. Last thing about Elimination Chamber, there was the men's Elimination Chamber match where the winner gets to go to face Brock at WrestleMania. Braun Strowman, this guy is huge, and I guess he's got this saying called "Get these hands." I believe WWE should make foam hands, huge ones for the kids, that says "Get these hands." This guy can be a merch seller, a top star. He pinned everybody in this match except Roman Reigns. I don't have a problem with Roman Reigns at all. I get it. Vince McMahon always has to have a guy that he pushes to the top. But he has another one, too. Maybe he doesn't realize it, and Braun. So they kind of protected Braun. It took a couple Superman punches, a couple spears to beat him. So, Jexy, what's your thoughts on them choosing Roman? And we'll talk a little bit later on Braun's potential WrestleMania involvement here and if he's going to have a solid match or not. But what's your thoughts on the men's match? And we all expected Roman to go. Do you have any difference of opinion? Would you like someone else to win?
It was a toss-up for me between Strowman and Roman. And I don't mind Roman winning because I look at WrestleMania as a shot that you earn. And he's been there for years and years and years, earning his spot at WrestleMania. So while I like Braun and I want to see him in the Universal title picture and to inevitably at some point hold the belt, I don't think that he should necessarily be thrust into that spot over somebody who's been working for it as long as Roman has. I would like to see Roman take it from Brock and then Strowman take it from Roman. So I do think it was the right choice. I think Braun is still getting built up. I do think that it was a very good decision to make him take as many finishers as he did, because not only are you building him up and making him stronger, you're now creating another dominating force that we're going to lose if and when Brock does go away.
Yes, and Braun did take everybody's finisher at one point, didn't he? Aaron, what's your thoughts on that match? And The Miz, I like when he did his entrance and he went to each pod and taunted when they were already locked in the pod. He's great, by the way. So what's your thoughts on anybody else in that match? Did anybody else shine?
Well, I liked the spot with Braun Strowman throwing Miz off the top of the pod onto the other five guys. Unfortunately, that crowd did not react to it. That was one negative, but I thought that was really cool. I'm pretty much numb to the whole thing. I should be more upset than I am. I think WWE should have pulled the trigger on Braun Strowman. I think Braun Strowman showed that he has all the attributes to be the top guy. He can wrestle, he's big, he's got the look that Vince likes, and he can play his role as a monster very well, and he can do the entertainment stuff. He can pick up the stand-up bass and sing a song and do that. He has the layers. I think Strowman not winning was a missed opportunity. Now, I'm over it. I never expected Strowman to win. I figured Roman Reigns was going to win the Chamber match and go on to WrestleMania. I think that Strowman should have been eliminated earlier in the match. I think the 5 of them should have beat him up. He could have made a comeback, but then eventually they overcame him and eliminated him. I wasn't really a fan of him eliminating everybody and then losing to Reigns. I just think that really killed off the momentum that he had, much like what happened to Goldberg at SummerSlam 2003 when he eliminated everybody pretty much and then got beat by Triple H right away. I wasn't a fan of that at all. And I wasn't really a fan of this, but like I said, I'm pretty much numb to the whole thing at this point. So it is what it is.
Well, Roman Reigns is going to WrestleMania, and he's going to face Brock Lesnar. So let's transition to Monday Night Raw. I like promos. I don't know who the other guys that were on this video, if they like promos or not. One of them supposedly was in WWE and all of those. So he probably cut promos. But The Miz had another passionate promo. I remember watching The Miz on Tough Enough, or what was that show on MTV?
Real Life.
Real World.
So,
Real World. Yeah, yes. And so he has an eye for the camera. He's just good. And, he gets the face red, which probably, my face is probably red right now. The eyes bugging out. And so The Miz cut a fantastic promo. Really makes the Intercontinental Championship seem like a lot. And we'll talk about what happened with him on Raw in a little bit. But I really want to talk about, Cena cut his promo. John Cena. And he did a tease of The Undertaker. And the people were eating it up. And then he said, but they won't let me face The Undertaker. I thought that was very interesting. What's your guys' thoughts on that, on Cena's promo?
Who wants to take this first? Me? Jexy?
Go ahead.
Who?
Rock, paper, scissors for it? No.
Go ahead, either one.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jexy. Ladies first.
It was good. I mean, I don't really see why he can't fight Undertaker. There was no definitive reason given as to why it was impossible. So who's to say they may not just be trying to pull the wool over our eyes, but at the same time, I kind of wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't him and Undertaker. But it very well could be.
Well, that crowd was hot for that.
Here's the thing, though. There's this report about Rey Mysterio possibly having a match at WrestleMania, and now there's this talk that Rey Mysterio is going to face John Cena instead. I'm wondering if this guy, Justin Barrasso from Sports Illustrated, is being purposely fed false information by WWE, because that doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, El Virtuoso, I'm sure you're familiar with Rey Mysterio. You saw him in Mexico back in the day. But I think that would be a step down, Now that WWE has teased The Undertaker for WrestleMania, I feel like they have to deliver. If they have Rey Mysterio, that's going to be a step down, in my opinion. I mean, Jexy, your thoughts on Rey Mysterio possibly facing John Cena? Do you see that as a step down from Undertaker, especially now that WWE has teased it on Raw?
I love my homie 619. Yes. Don't get me wrong, but it would be a step down. I don't want to see that. Cena, still keep in mind though, is a free agent. What about Rusev? They could reignite Rusev. And we also have Samoa Joe that's coming back pretty soon. I don't expect it to be Joe, but it could be.
I'd love to see Joe versus John Cena personally.
Yeah.
Anything less than John Cena versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania would be a disappointment, to be honest with you.
So what do you think Rusev's going to do then? I mean, I think Rusev's going to be in the Andre Battle Royal if he's lucky. I mean, El Virtuoso, what do you think they're going to do with Rusev? I know Virtue said that the Rusev Day stuff was going to fizzle out pretty quickly. So
Rusev is selling a lot of shirts. I don't know if that means Vince McMahon ever pushes that, though. So the fact is, Rusev did come out in a tank at a WrestleMania. John Cena beat him. John Cena also beat him on a flag match, I think, last year. So, Jackson, that'd be a great idea, have Cena put Rusev over once and for all Mania. I just don't think it's going to happen either. This Rey Mysterio rumor is true. Demographic, they always like to have their Hispanic, for the Hispanic fans, big part of the WWE universe. Is that a red herring? I don't know. Aaron, that's a great point. That could be to pull the wool over our eyes. I mean, again, you're going to disappoint with anybody but Undertaker right now as Cena's opponent.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, Batista?
Go ahead.
Do you think Taker's really in a spot to go?
I don't know.
Ooh.
That's a great question. I mean, he's been training. I thought you said Batista there for a minute. They still. I'm surprised that Batista's name hasn't been brought up for a possible match, either as Ronda Rousey's partner or maybe even coming back to face not John Cena again, but maybe Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar and Batista would have been interesting. But regarding Undertaker, I mean, he's been training for it, so I don't know how the match is going to be if it is John Cena versus The Undertaker, but I think they're going to rely on the fact that they're both these larger-than-life superstars. It's going to be like Hogan versus Rock all over again. It's going to be more about the personalities than the actual quality of the match. I think, they're going to rely on just looking at the crowd and just exchanging punches and doing the boo and yeah and just that sort of thing. Remember, Hogan would do a back rake to The Rock at WrestleMania, and the crowd went crazy for it. So John Cena and Undertaker, they could just stand there, and the place is going to be electric. So they really don't need to do a whole lot. I think they can get through the match with a lot of shortcuts. So it's going to be interesting, though, to see who comes out on top if that match does, in fact, happen. I'm really curious about that.
I think there's an even bigger question than who John Cena's opponent is. I mean, we already got a couple big names for Cena, so we're probably going to see one of them. What about Braun Strowman? Jaxie, what are your thoughts? What match is Braun? I mean, if they're building Braun up to be this big star, get these hands, and, he's got T-shirts that say that. Right now, he does not have a match at WrestleMania. Is it going to be Kane? Could he face Cena? Probably not, but is he going to be put in the Brock Lesnar-Roman Reigns match? What's your thoughts? What do they do with Braun to give him a nice spot for WrestleMania? Jaxie?
Sure, I think with the habit of pattern that we've had recently, where they are doing so many 3, 4, 7, 12 person matches, that they very well could stick Strowman in with Lesnar and Roman. However, he does yo-yo back and forth a little bit. He's been feuding kind of with Elias recently, so maybe him and Elias. Kane has been out of the picture, so if he actually comes back, do you want to see the two huge giants clash at WrestleMania? I could see that. It'd be kind of cool. But personally, I would like to see him get pulled from Lesnar and Roman. Don't even make that a possibility and just let him and Elias go at it.
Well, here's one rumor that's out there. Again, it's Justin Barrasso from Sports Illustrated, so you may want to take it with a grain of salt.
Who is that guy?
He writes for Sports Illustrated. And because he's affiliated with Sports Illustrated, anytime he publishes something, anytime he publishes something, everyone takes it like the gospel. But I think there's a possibility Strowman and Miz could be going for the IC title, not in a one-on-one match, but they throw all the guys into one big match. Because it is fairly typical at WrestleMania, because WWE wants to get everybody on the show. Everybody's got to have a spot. So I could see Miz defending against Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, and Elias, and maybe even Joe. If Joe's ready, they could throw him in there too and just do like a 6-person match. It would not shock me if that happened. The thing about Strowman and Elias is there's going to be so many matches on this card. Is it even going to have time to really fit in? I guess they could do a quick match, 5-10 minutes or whatever, but it would very easily get lost in the shuffle. So the question is, would Strowman be better off in a quick match with Elias, or would he be better off in a big 6-person match that goes 30 minutes? I mean, that's what you have to argue. El Virtuoso, anything else you would like to add on that?
What about, they always like to have a quick match at Mania, or every other Mania, I don't know. But what about, Kane doing the favor? I mean, Kane's at the point of his career that he's going into politics. So why not have Kane versus Braun and have it be a relatively short match, making Braun just look like the new monster, and Kane passing the torch? I'm sure he would do that. But again, there's possibilities. I mean, that's what the road to WrestleMania is all about. We're going to see something happen. So I guess we'll have to just stay tuned. Now, Brock Lesnar. The rumors of him going back to UFC, is he going to fight John Jones or whoever? And is him and Dana White making a, are they negotiating? Is this all a work with everybody involved? So, Jexy, Roman Reigns cut. From what I understand, people do not like this guy, and they definitely don't like his mic work. Now, I told you, I've watched Aaron got a hold of me and said, we need you, so I had to watch WWE this past week. If this was the first time I ever saw Roman Reigns cut a promo Monday night, I would call everybody that says he sucks on the mic, like, why? This was something. Was it like John Cena level? No. But you could feel like that fourth wall, we call them worked shoots. It felt like a shoot, but you could tell that it was probably all worked and planned out. So what are your thoughts on Roman Reigns? People are saying this was the best mic work he's ever done. And does this add that little bit of realism to their feud for Mania? Or is it just rehashing The Rock and Cena when Cena told The Rock, you're a part-timer, get out of here? Jexy.
It 100% absolutely does add to it. And it, in my opinion, probably was the best promo that he's ever cut. He was so authentic and so fluid in the way that he spoke. He didn't sound scripted even for a second. And he had so much passion and fire behind what he was saying. And me personally, I agree with him. Whether it was worked or whether it was a shoot, I agree with it 100%. I'm not a fan of part-timers. Either you're all in or get out.
Ooh, all in.
Hey, if you're the champion, you need to be there night after night after night, showing your face and showing that you do give a shit and not being disrespectful to all of these other people that are away from their families and doing this night after night after night. And kind of like a little mini sidetrack on SmackDown, it probably had nothing to do with it, but when Bryan Daniel walked up to Shane and said, can I go home now and go see my wife and my daughter? It kind of made me wonder if that was like a little hint to that along the same time, like, hey, I'm done. Can I just go home? Like Brock does it. Yeah. But it has been discussed. It was talked that either they were working the whole company and he really just didn't show up, which I could see him really not showing up. He did an interview not too long ago where he flat out admitted he doesn't care about wrestling. He just likes the paycheck. Dana White's willing to pay. If there's money behind a talent, Dana White will go above and beyond to make sure that he gets that talent.
Right. Now, Jexy, I have a question for you. Now, your thoughts on, this is a little off topic, on Jericho, because Jericho is also a part-timer. You could argue that Jericho's situation is a little bit different because when he comes back, he's back on a regular basis. With Lesnar, he comes in for one match and he's gone. And I do feel like Lesnar has gotten really stale. I mean, I understand the idea that Lesnar is a draw, that he's a special attraction, but it's the same thing every single match. And I personally am tired of it. But would you agree that Jericho's situation is different and that if you're going to be a part-timer, at least do what Jericho's doing, and when you are in, you are all in, like you said. Would you agree with that?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Because, as you said, Jericho, when he is there all the time. And not only that, he hasn't left and came back and left and came back and like, oh, I want to be a fighter today, and oh, I'm going to go back to WWE because they're going to pay me more. Jericho has through and through, his entire career has been wrestling and nothing but wrestling. I mean, you could talk about Fozzy, but that's his, hobby. Not even really a hobby. It's just what he does on his off time, side time, but it's not even related. I don't see it as being the same. No.
Yeah. Now, El Virtuoso, anything else you would like to add about Lesnar and how you feel about him as a part-timer and just part-timers in general, since we have been talking about Jericho and Rey Mysterio possibly coming back? I mean, Rey Mysterio wants a part-time deal, so I guess both of you could comment on Mysterio. Maybe before we get to El Virtuoso, Jexy, your thoughts on Rey Mysterio? Do you think he should be coming back if he's only going to be back as a part-timer?
If he's not going to be a championship holder and he's going to be there to give the rub and get other guys over, sure.
All right, there you have it. So El Virtuoso, now your thoughts on your boy from Mexico.
It all depends on what you call part-timers, because Brock part-time is really part-time. But like, remember Shawn Michaels? He was on television. He just didn't do house shows. Chris Jericho, he leaves WWE. He goes to New Japan and does, some appearances. He does wrestling on his cruise. Like Jaxie said, wrestling. Brock Lesnar turns it off and goes and farms with Sable. So to me, Brock should not have a title. If you're going to be a special attraction part-timer, then you should, and you're only going to come in for big pay-per-views, then you need to get in feuds that don't involve titles. I'm fine with that, to give somebody, hey, Strowman's fighting Lesnar. The problem with Lesnar part-time is the title, and then he takes it home with him and puts it on his mantle, and that's disrespect. WWE's trying to sell toy belts. Put it on somebody like Strowman or Roman Reigns that's on promoting a product every week. So Jericho, I think, what was the last title he held? The United States.
Yes.
He was on TV feuding against Kevin Owens, showing that title every week. He didn't go home until the feud was over and the payoff was done. So even Rey Mysterio, I think, would be on TV quite a bit, but he just probably won't do house shows. So to me, there's two different types of part-timers, and Lesnar is the worst of them all. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm starting to come around on you, El Virtuoso.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
I also watched some of the past NoDQ review videos because I had to see how you guys were, and those other two. I didn't like the other two guys. You two steal the show every week.
Well, thank you.
So yeah, Roman's promo, I loved it, and I hope that they take the handcuffs off of him going forward every week, and we can really feel like because there's going to be haters. Haters are going to say it's Rock and Cena, 2.0 with this whole part-time gimmick, and Roman saying I'm always here. But the point is, Roman did not have to recite scripted lines. He was given bullet points from a work shoot. And then he went out there, and you could feel this. You could hear the zest in his voice that we've never heard before. I want them to keep doing that. Is he John Cena when it comes to the mic? Is he The Rock? Not even close. But is it serviceable when he does what he did Monday night? Yes. And look, I want to tell everybody this, because I don't know what the big draw is in WWE now. Is it AJ Styles and Strowman? Are those the fan favorites? I think so.
Yeah.
But Reigns is supposed to be that guy. The fact is, if you keep hating on Reigns, a guy like Vince McMahon's probably going to keep shoving him down your throat.
Yep.
But my experience of watching wrestling, the big wrestling, WCW, WWF, is let Vince do what he wants with the top guy. And if you don't have to accept it like he's your favorite, but just kind of go with the flow and don't hate on it too much, because the rest of the card ends up being really, really good, and you end up having a whole great product. But I think now it's like WWE goes out of their way to push the top of their card down everyone's throats because Vince is mad that nobody's accepting his vision, that the rest of the card is suffering. I mean, again, I'm not saying become a, drink the Kool-Aid, right? I don't know. Drink the tequila.
Well,
but
what I wanted to say about it is that we all knew Reigns was going to win, right? And people still got mad. I'm like, guys, you knew it was going to happen. You knew Reigns was going to win. WWE gave us Nakamura winning the Royal Rumble. All of us that like Nakamura and want to see Nakamura versus AJ Styles, which I assume is still going to happen. If AJ doesn't retain the title at Fastlane, then I'm going to be really confused, because I thought the whole point of Nakamura winning was to set up AJ versus Nakamura at WrestleMania. So I feel like WWE is giving the diehard fans what they want with AJ Styles versus Nakamura for the WWE title. Hopefully that match is given a big spot at WrestleMania. I don't see it being the main event. It's probably going to be somewhere closer to the middle of the show. But hopefully those guys are given a good 20, 30 minutes. And you know what? If those guys have a Match of the Year candidate and the rest of WrestleMania is solid.
5 stars. How many stars are on my mask? 6?
I have no idea how to count, so
okay.
I don't know. As long as WWE has a solid WrestleMania, who cares if Roman Reigns beats Brock Lesnar? Just go with the flow, like you said. Just deal with it. And hopefully WWE will keep going in this direction with Reigns, which is what they should have been doing years ago, instead of making him the comedy figure, doing the promos about tater tots and suffering succotash, and just let him be a badass. I mean, he's really good at it. So just let him do what he's good at. That's my rant on that whole thing.
Good point, Mr. Rift. And before I guess that you guys do this final act or main event, whatever. So I do have something we'll talk about that we'll probably all rant about. But before we get that, I'm going to be better than that guy that we won't name. For Jexy, Aaron, is there anything you want to discuss, like in a freestyle right now that we didn't talk about from the last few days of wrestling? If not, we'll move on to the main event, but I'm being courteous and I'm asking.
Well, you're putting us on the spot. I mean, I can think of something that happened. I'm trying to think of what happened on SmackDown that was interesting. Usos. Let's talk about the Usos. So they cut this great promo on SmackDown. Really awesome stuff. I love the Usos. Those guys are so great. And they brought up how for the past 4 or 5 years, I think since WrestleMania 28, I'm not sure offhand, but it's been 4 or 5 years, where they've been in the company, but they haven't gotten a spot on the main show. This year, I feel like they got to have something big. They're red hot.
They've never been on WrestleMania, the Usos?
Not on the main card. I think they've been on the kickoff a couple of times, but never on the main show. So this year, I feel like they got to have something big. They got to be on the main show, and you got to give these guys a chance to shine. The question is, their opponents, who should they face? Will it be one tag team, or will it be the predictable route where they do like 4 tag teams? We've seen the New Day and the Usos a lot, and they're booked for Fastlane. And granted, they've had some great matches, but the question is, who should the Usos face? So I guess my question to you guys is, who do you think would be the best choice to face the Usos at WrestleMania? Jexy, I'm going to put you on the spot first. Your thoughts. Usos versus who at WrestleMania? Who?
As much as I like Uso and New Day because they have so much good chemistry and they flow together so well, it would be kind of cool to see them square up against the Bludgeon Brothers. They've been getting built up, as a monster team that just rolls through everybody. Well, roll into the Uso Penitentiary and see where it gets you.
I like it. And Harper, people have been saying for a long time, Harper needs a big push. This would be his opportunity to have a high-profile match at WrestleMania. I like it. I say just go with it. WWE has been building up these guys for the past couple of months now, and I say give them the match. Just Usos versus Bludgeon Brothers, no other teams, just 2 teams battle for the tag team titles. The old-fashioned way, one team versus one team. El Virtuoso, your thoughts on...
That's my fear. I watched SmackDown, and they had that promo going on with the Usos and the New Day. And, doing my research, they had one heck of a feud in 2017. Then the Bludgeon Brothers came out, and everybody powdered. I didn't understand that. I mean, I know they're trying to build these Bludgeon Brothers up as like these monsters with their rubber mallets or whatever. But to me, they just get a shot. They've wrestled nothing but jobbers, catching up on all their matches on YouTube. How do you just get in the title picture by wrestling jobbers? So I'm not a fan of the Bludgeon Brothers getting that shot. And I could see the WWE putting this as a multiple tag team championship match. That's my fear that they're going to do that. And I hope it doesn't get pre-show treatment because Usos deserve to be on the main card.
They could do a series of street fight matches.
You go ahead.
Where it's not just straight up in the ring, where it's wrestling ability versus wrestling ability, which would keep established tag teams protected. If they just put it on the street and it's a one-on-one street fight brawl, and the Bludgeon Brothers come out on top of that.
Now, what about, did they already do an Uso Penitentiary match, which to me is a cage match? Could they do a standard cage match, tag team, Bludgeon Brothers versus the Usos? That might be interesting.
Ooh, I like it. Maybe do something like TNA style, though. Maybe have weapons surrounding the ring and do that, like with the Lethal Lockdown, have a bunch of weapons and make like a hardcore cage match, just more than a standard cage match. I actually like that idea a lot, an Uso Penitentiary match at WrestleMania. You should be booking for WWE. See, I'm really liking you. I got to say, Jexy said she's starting to grow on you. I mean, I think you got a lot of talent here, El Virtuoso.
Well, hopefully I got 2 months worth of, you allow me back because it looks like I'm going to have to fill 2 months. And it might just be us 3. I don't know who this Vito guy is, but I don't know. Maybe he'll come back. I'd like to razz on him for a little bit.
What about that mannequin? Jex, you got that mannequin over there. Let's get a good look at that. Maybe
Head.
Yeah, maybe Head. Closer, center the camera. Maybe Head. Is that the name? Just Head? You ripped off Al Snow?
Well, yeah, it's signed by Al Snow.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, wow.
Cool.
Very nice.
Al Snow.
So we could always have Jexy's Head be the fourth panel person if necessary. I don't know if Jexy can do the whole ventriloquist act or whatever, but who knows?
Jexy Dunham.
Virtuoso. So what else?
Well, it's the final act time, and I know the other guy.
Hold on. Did Jexy get a chance to bring up another topic, or Jexy?
Oh yeah. Do you want to, or you can save it for next time? Because I think I'll be back at this point.
Maybe.
I'll just reiterate the fact that I hate the text bubbles that they do on everybody's promos. It's awful, and it needs to go away like yesterday.
I agree on that. You know, I still get annoyed when Aiden English comes out there and they got the text during his live promo. It's supposed to be live. How is Kevin Dunn and the guys in the back knowing what he's going to say? I just think that ruins the whole thing. I also wanted to ask you guys about Rusev and Aiden English because I really like the tag team. I feel like they've lost some momentum. Where do they go into WrestleMania? Do you think they just end up in the Andre Battle Royal? Who wants to take this one?
I will. They should get a tag team title shot, but I don't know. I mean, I watched the singing of the one guy, and I actually like when he does it in the match. It's probably going to be Andre Battle Royal stuff, but maybe if that's what they get, they're the final two. And then everybody, because you don't want to see them guys because you like them together, but isn't that what's great about Battle Royals when the two friends are the last two? That might be an entertaining finish of that match. So that's what I would pick, Jexy.
I'm going to go the opposite of that because for me, the charm of them being together has worn off.
Ooh.
I like seeing Aiden more in a managerial type role as far as his singing and the introductions and all of that to help build up Rusev. You'll learn from our buddy Vito. He always talks about being believable and being looking like a wrestler. To me, Aiden does not look like a wrestler. I'm pretty sure my quads are bigger than his.
Ooh, little bit of shade being thrown here.
When I look at him, I just feel like he could just get blown over. I mean, I don't believe him as being a credible, just by the way he looks, not necessarily by his actual technical skill. Mm-hmm. He is a skilled wrestler. But I feel if they're going to keep them together, it would be more beneficial to have him in more of a managerial role and allow Rusev to go back to singles.
Or for Aiden English 205 Live, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Is he
That's
even
an interesting
205?
take.
I think he's pretty tall, isn't he? Isn't he like 6'2" or something? The guy looks taller than Rusev. Maybe I'm off on this, but he looks pretty tall to me. I don't know.
Well,
if he would
sometimes
even be
tall
in
doesn't
205
equate
Live.
to weight, though. You know, you could be 6'2" and still be $180.
I think he weighs a little bit more than that, but I don't know. I don't know how much that guy weighs.
Well, it's wrestling, and it's all kayfabe weight anyway. But, yeah, great take, Jexy. I mean, I like that because, you put people together. Why? To eventually break them up. I mean, remember The Miz and Sandow, and, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. But it's final act time, and there is something that I can't believe when I put WWE on for the first time in a while, catching up on everything. This happened 3 times in 24 hours. On Raw, The Miz lost 2 non-title matches. On SmackDown, AJ Styles lost a non-title match. And I get it. It's to get the opponents that beat them over to advance them. But talk about crapping on titles. Aaron, what's your thoughts on this? I thought it was absolutely horrible that Seth Rollins and Finn Balor both beat The Miz back-to-back.
You better be careful. First of all, you talk trash about Finn Balor, you might lose some points with Jexy. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to give you some friendly advice.
I like him. I want to see the Demon more, to be honest with you. I saw that Demon gimmick. That's fantastic. And then, of course, AJ lost to John Cena, which that's, okay, it's John Cena. Maybe we can give that one a pass. So, Aaron, what are your thoughts? And I know this has happened before. I just can't stand it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it in the sense that you want to build up a number one contender by having them beat the champion. It's been happening for decades. As far as Miz goes, the problem is Miz is basically a coward heel champion. He never really wins cleanly, and I guess WWE feels they could just beat him constantly. I do think that he should be protected a little bit more. He should win some matches on his own. Not all of them. He is the mid-card IC champion. I still think he should win every once in a while cleanly. That's one argument for bringing back the squash matches, maybe have Miz beat some of the lower-end guys and win some matches on his own. It seems like he's losing every week on TV, although he did beat Roman Reigns. Granted, it was with all the outside interference and shenanigans, but he still beat Roman Reigns on Raw a few weeks ago. Seth Rollins was coming off that really big win where he beat John Cena and Roman Reigns the same night, so I'm not really surprised Rollins beat him. And then the argument is that, well, Miz was already worn out from Rollins, so of course he's going to be in a disadvantage against Finn Balor. So I really didn't have a big problem with it, but I understand what you're saying, Virtuoso. The general idea that you should protect the champions as much as possible. AJ losing to Cena.
The champions, but like the title belts themselves. Like, you know what I mean? That's what really irks me.
What's important to me is that the title is defended on every pay-per-view. At least Miz was in the Elimination Chamber, but I hate, what bothers me, what grinds my gears is when the IC title isn't even on the card, when they leave it off the card. There's this idea that you have Night of Champions where every title's on the line. I think the titles should always be on the line, every title, every pay-per-view, and that's how you protect those titles. John Cena beating AJ Styles, I mean, that's pretty much how he got into the match. I don't know how else that could have been done. I think Cena would have had to have earned his shot, and beating AJ made sense to me. So what happened this week I was okay with, but I do agree with you for the most part, Virtuoso, on the idea of protecting the titles.
Jaxie, please, like, I can't believe Aaron enjoyed that. I mean, to me, you can get people to where they need to be other ways. Creativity, right? But if you agree with him, that's cool. So what are your thoughts on those non-title matches?
It has to serve a purpose. If you are going to have the champion lose, it has to serve a purpose to further the storyline and to further a character. Because the thing is, we can't have, I mean, you could, but feasibly you can't really have every single match that the champion has be a title match. So as long as the champion is winning when the title is on the line, if they are winning in a form of an elimination or a qualification match, they're getting the job done when it matters the most. If you lose, it happens. When, say, AJ Styles was going for the championship, he lost how many different times before he actually gained the championship? You know those people are going to lose. It's going to create a back and a forth. It's going to allow somebody else to have that edge now over you that you're going to get that comeback from. Which, psychology, who doesn't love the good comeback? Our buddy Virtue loves Mario Kart. He's a Mario Kart champion, right? Say me and Virtue are playing Mario Kart. We're 3-3. That last match for that final win is going to bring that intensity up and make that competition heightened more so because now you get the final win. And at the same time, again, you can't win every single match. People have off days. It's like in any sport. The Patriots going into the Super Bowl had the craziest odds to beat the Eagles. The Eagles now win. Now you want to see where it's going to go from here. If it's just a constant everybody wins, it's not going to make any sense. Asuka is in a completely different world of her own. She's on her own planet in her own galaxy. She doesn't even have a title right now.
Yeah, she doesn't need the title. She's doing fine on her own without the title.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of these, and I get what you're saying, Jaxie. Like, you're right, a champion. I mean, because it's not boxing, it's not UFC. It's champions in those sports, that's the only matches they have. They don't do non-title matches, but in wrestling with storylines and characters, they do. I just felt like it was just so many in 2 days. Maybe if they were spread out over the next couple of weeks, but the fact is, twice for the Miz. And I like the Miz, maybe it's just me being a fan of him.
It's just bad timing. It's just bad timing. By the way, talking about Mario Kart, that seems more exciting than watching WWE right now. I used to kick Virtue's butt at Mario Kart when we did the online thing back in the day, but he's not here, so I could talk trash about him. He was really terrible at Mario Kart.
Did you play Princess Peach?
Me? No,
yeah,
Virtue did. I play like Donkey Kong. It's on like Donkey Kong or Luigi.
Who's the slowest one?
Toad?
No, I thought you
Toad's
said
the smallest one. No, Donkey Kong's a big, tough beast.
Don't they have a wrestling game where the wrestlers are cars, like from like 20 years ago? Isn't there a game, a WWF game, and it's like you're like an arena, and like the cars are the wrestlers, like The Rock and Stone Cold. Anyway, I don't know. I'm sure the viewers.
You would have to ask Virtue on that because he's the expert with video games. He would know that more than I think myself or Jexy would.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I had today. So I think this was a good show. I don't know how long you normally run them, Aaron, but I get hot. Normally I work a 12-minute match, not a 1-hour video under these masks.
Well, you gotta start doing some marathons and working hour matches, Broadway. You got to go to Broadway with one of these guys that you work with in Mexico or wherever. But yeah, we did about an hour here without Vito. How about that? That is saying something. That is quite the accomplishment. We went an hour without Big Vito. But by the way, we missed you, Big Vito. We hope you come back soon. We would love to get you on with El Virtuoso. So everyone out there, check out BigVito.com. We're not going to deny him of his plugs, even though he's not here. He was part of the team. He helped build. This is the house. NoDQ Review is the house that Big Vito built. So check out BigVito.com. Buy his merchandise. Follow him on Twitter at the Big Vito brand and support him. And let him know he's missed on the NoDQ Review. And hopefully he'll be back next week.
Jexy, anything? I don't have social media or anything, so I don't have any plugs. So go ahead.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JexyRocks. Head says, go to Collar and Elbow, support Al Snow, and support Big Vito. They both have merch on there. You can also listen to Vito on the Russo brand, Getting Color. He always plugs it. Got to plug it for him. Other than that, if you are interested in a NoDQ beanie, let Aaron know. I think he's going to start getting more of them. And go to ProWrestlingTees.com.
I need one of those beanies.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll have the beanies, but right now I'm working on getting NoDQ beach balls made. That's the next craze here, getting beach balls. And I'm not telling anybody to take them to WWE shows. I'm not saying that. But yeah, you can have a good time with the beach balls, bounce them around wherever you go, whether it's to the beach or somewhere else. I'm not going to say any place. Specifically like a WWE live event or a pay-per-view, don't do that. I can't stop anybody though, but I'm saying don't do it. So we got NoDQ beach balls, and I'm working on getting some action figure belts made. More merchandise coming here on NoDQ.com, so stay tuned for that. And El Virtuoso, you should get a social media account so you can learn how to troll like Big Vito, and maybe you could become the next troll of the month, take his spot.
You need to give me a T-shirt that says Al Virtuoso, or so I see some of the people's comments that said Fire Virtue. That's a cool one, because if you fire Virtue, then you probably bring me on as a regular. So
yeah, well maybe you will. Maybe you'll just take his place permanently.
Now, do you have anything? All your T-shirts and websites, or does everybody already know all that stuff?
They already know it, but in case they forgot, NoDQ.com, Aaron Rift on social media, and NoDQ.DOTCOM on Twitter. I actually did a catception this week on my SmackDown Live coverage with a cat getting mad at a picture of a cat, getting mad at a picture of a cat, and so on. Jexy, did you see it or not?
No.
Well, you don't.
You're not. I like cats. I'm going to check that out.
You only look at the NoDQ tweets when I tag you. You don't look at them regularly.
I do too, but I have my feed goes so fast and has so much crap on it. I can't keep up with everything. I'd be on it all day long.
Well, I got to
I'll go look for it though.
Yeah, they're buried somewhere. I tweet like 100 times a day anyway, so it's very easy to miss those tweets. But yeah, it was pretty funny. My cat, I was watching SmackDown Live and the cat just literally got in my shot. So I took a picture of the cat and then I posted it, and then he got in my shot again. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep taking a picture. And then my other cat came up and it just took a life of its own. But yeah, check it out at NoDQ.com. Always fun stuff going on there. El Virtuoso, anything else you would like to say before we wrap this up?
Nope. Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to doing it again, hopefully for the next several weeks. And maybe I'll put a social media account out there. I don't know. But for Jexy, for Mr. Rift, I am El Virtuoso. Thank you, No DQ Galaxy. I appreciate it.